Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorton. I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib, and we have a great show for you today. And if you want to call in and ask questions, 323-870-3857. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Canelo Fight Week. He's going to face Bivol next week, and we'll break it all down for you. But first, we're going to get started with Trisha Morrison. As you guys know, Trisha Morrison is the wife of Tommy Morrison, the late Tommy Morrison. And she's got some, and when she was on here last time, she talked about her course was her, case was tied up in circuit court and everything like that. Well, she's got some really exciting news for us, and she's going to share that with us. Trisha, how are you today? I think she froze. Trisha, are you there? She froze. Beeb, you're on mute, so go ahead and unmute.
What's going on, brother?
What's going on? All right, I think we have Trisha back here. All right, Trisha. All right, so you got some exciting news here, but let's talk about first Tommy's son, Kenzie Morrison, actually had a fight this weekend versus Hasim Rahman Jr., which is a real tough guy. That's no cupcake. That's no cakewalk right there, I'll tell you that. How'd he do?
Right. Kenzie did very well. Excuse the internet connection. We had a tornado that went through here a couple of days ago. So the lines might be really very strange. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we were in Las Vegas, and Kenzie fought Rahman Jr., and that was Friday night, and it was at the Virgin Hotel in Las Vegas, and it was also on pay-per-view on Fight TV. And the first 3-4 rounds, as Kenzie would say so himself, and I hope you get him onto the show. I'm sure he would love to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Was a little bit nerve-wracking, but then his mom, me, his girlfriend, and Kenzie's son, we were up in a suite, and we were just praying, and his son was punching, towards Kenzie and saying, "Do this, Dad, don't let him do that." And we really feel that Tommy got into the ring and
Trisha looked like she's frozen up again. It was I think it was a fourth or fifth round KO, wasn't it? It was a fourth round KO or fifth round?
It was fifth round TKO. Fifth round KO.
And he put him away. I mean, it was a nice. I mean, he looked good for those. Like you said early on, it was kind of shaky. I mean, they were both getting good shots in. Rahman was winning a few of the early rounds, but that power. He's got fight-changing power in those hands, man. And Beeb, you caught this, right?
Can you hear me okay?
I did see some highlights
in here.
Yeah, I did see some highlights of the fight. It was a brutal knockout, I thought. It was.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
This was an interesting card, Trisha. It had Gerald McClellan Jr. on it. I think it was called Sons of Legends. Gerald McClellan Jr., of course, Kenzie Morrison, Roberto Duran Jr. Were there a lot of ex-boxers in attendance, celebrities, that kind of? It had to be packed with them, right?
Right. Yeah, it was packed. We had a couple of boxing celebrities. One was Mike Tyson, and then the other one was Shane Mosley as well. Yeah. So it was really nice. Yeah. We sat with Shane Mosley, and I actually sat with him, and I showed him something on my phone, and he read it. And I'll read it to you again. It says, "Plaintiff now recognizes that neither the state defendants nor the Quest defendants ever diagnosed He said, "That's impossible. It was in all the newspapers. It was on the television. they said he had HIV. And I said, well, that's not what they're saying now.
That's insane. That is insane.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about this book in a second here, but let me ask you about this. Everyone knows about your court case. The claim is they stated, the commission basically stated that he had HIV, that they tested him for HIV. He was positive. Your claim is that basically, no, they didn't. A lot of people thought this case was nonsense. A lot of people thought this case was nonsense. You're wasting your time. This is just silly because the medical reports say this and this and this. But turns out it's not nonsense. And this week, I think it was, or the past couple of weeks, you got some news. Please share with us the news.
Yeah, I actually wrote down it's 7 years, 8 months, 3 weeks, and 5 days we've been fighting this case. It's not nonsense. We are now in the U.S. Supreme Court. And to get to the U.S. Supreme Court, you either have to be an attorney that is licensed just for the U.S. Supreme Court, or you go pro se, which is what we're doing, which means no attorney. And basically the other people that usually go into the US Supreme Court with no attorney are people that are on death row and trying to exonerate themselves and save their lives. But we're in there now. And when I mean we, I always mean you, me, anybody that's a true fan of Tommy's, some of his family, definitely the whole side of my family are in this. And this is a booklet. And in here, it actually lists the names of the physicians that found no HIV in him and lists the physicians that found no AIDS diseases in him. End of story, right? And in here, it says what the rule was in 1996, which did not allow you to draw ever. I'm going to keep talking because I think I lost the internet there. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, okay? And great, thanks. It's got everything in here, guys, and also anybody that wants a copy, just give me your email address and I will send you what I call a PDF version, which is just like this, a PDF version of the whole booklet for free. You can read it yourself and it will tell you exactly what is standing in front of the Supreme Court, right? By May 23rd, the defendants have to reply. They have to reply in booklet format as well. And it'll be in there exactly where they disagree with me. So I'll be happy to share that with you as well. And then once they reply, I have a chance to reply back. It's in booklet format again. There are 40 to 50 of these booklets that are printed. It's not a cheap deal. To file in the US Supreme Court, it's $300. To have these booklets professionally printed, it costs $1,800 to file this in the US Supreme Court. And it costs to reply back to the defendants. And that's how the Supreme Court goes. So these booklets are distributed to the justices, the 9 justices at the highest court in the nation. The true Tommy Morrison story is in front of the US Supreme Court. It's not the ESPN version. It's not the version that this other guy's come out with a book. Here lists the names of the people that found no HIV, no AIDS, and it also tells you the true law that the Nevada Athletic Commission should have abided by in 1996. So,
Trisha, just so people know, excuse me for 1 second, just so people know, when you say that he didn't have the virus in him, yes. just so people know, when you say he didn't have the virus in him, when they do administer an antibody test, there is a second test, what's called the Western blot test, that confirms the diagnosis. And correct me if I'm wrong, he never had that
connection again. I am so sorry.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
Let me. Can you hear me right now? I don't think she can hear me.
Yeah, there was tornadoes going right through there. I think she's in Oklahoma, and tornadoes going right through there.
Let me see if she can come back.
Yeah, she'll come back.
Because this is a very good question.
I tell you, I don't think it's that great of a question, Beeb.
It's not really a great question. It's a phenomenal question.
It's a phenomenal question.
People who are medically versed, like myself, can appreciate this question.
Medically versed like yourself.
A layman like you.
We got Dr. Phil over here. We got Dr. Phil over here now, right? We got Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil's not even a real doctor. He's a fraud.
He's a fraud.
I'm going to repeat my question to you, Trisha, just so people know. Now, Tommy did have the antibody test, but he never had that second confirmation test, which is called the Western blot test, that actually confirms the diagnosis. Is that correct or no?
I think she froze up again. That's okay. Let me see if maybe she can call in.
Yeah, probably better off having her call in because her connection's real bad. Let me
see if I can message her real quick. So tell me about this Western blot test here for a minute, babe.
So when you test positive when you test positive can you hear us?
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah, sorry.
Let me ask that question again. So just to clarify for people. So when a person's given the antibody test and they test positive with the antibodies, there's a second test that's called the confirmation test, and it's the Western blot test. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did he ever have that second confirmation test to confirm the virus?
If we're talking about Las Vegas, what's been discovered is that the two tests that they did on Tommy in Vegas were never FDA approved. They're called LDTs, laboratory developed tests. They're not FDA approved. So you don't know what the efficacy is. You don't know whether they really do what they're supposed to be doing. But let's just say that he had FDA approved testing, right, for the antibodies. Are you sure they were antibodies to the virus, right? The HIV virus. Were they possibly antibodies that are normal antibodies in your body that will trigger a false positive? Were they antibodies to the Epstein-Barr virus? Were they antibodies to lupus? You know, what antibodies were they when he triggered a positive to an FDA-approved test? Well, it comes to find out that there are over 100 ailments that can trigger a false positive, very similar to the COVID testing that even the CDC came out with that a few months ago. And even one of the manufacturers called Roche Products, they also came out and said, hey, we need to recall all these tests because they've tested false positive. So was he ever given a test for the virus? No, he wasn't. In fact, one of the documents in this court filing and in that U.S. Supreme book has exactly what the judge said. And he says, we wouldn't even be having this discussion if the test was specific for the existence of the virus or not. That's obviously why there's even the possibility of a claim. The test didn't test for the virus. That comes from the judge himself.
Yeah.
So if it didn't test for the virus, at no point in time should the media have said, oh, Tommy Morrison has HIV, because HIV stands for the human immune deficiency virus. They could have said, oh, he's tested positive for the antibodies, and then it would be, okay, well, antibodies to what? To the virus. Okay, well, then test him for the virus then to see if it's antibodies to HIV. And this was not done until 2012 and 2013 when we found out that the test that he had been given didn't test for the virus. We said, okay, well, give us a test that detects the virus itself, you know, and let's do a differential test to see if maybe he has certain autoimmune disorders that may trigger a false positive that has nothing to do with the virus. So they did the testing, and they found out he had 5 autoimmune disorders that would trigger a false positive. And I said, okay, so he's got autoimmune disorders that would trigger a false positive. All right, so that's a differential diagnosis already. Now let's test him for all the AIDS diseases that you would get if you actually had the virus inside you, right? You know, a lot of the denialists, as they call them, or the conspiracy theorists, will say, well, you know, the virus doesn't cause AIDS. And then you've got the other half of the medical establishment saying, well, of course you can't get it unless you've got the virus. So, you know,
Trish, you're breaking up.
And the can you hear me? I went directly to the physicians and said, test him for all the AIDS diseases, and let's see if he's got AIDS. And they tested him, and he was negative for any AIDS diseases. Okay, and each of those tests are in that book in front of the US Supreme Court. And then I had him tested for the virus itself. And not only in blood, but also in spit, in sperm, in cerebral spine fluid. You know, if you have anything, it's going to be in your spine fluid. I even had testing done inside his lungs, in the macrophages, anywhere that HIV could be, right? Nowhere. They didn't find it anywhere. And what people have to realize, it's not me. I'm just the messenger, right? But I've listed the names in that US Supreme book. You can all see it. You can all check up on these physicians to see if they're real physicians, and just read it, and it will just amaze you.
Wow.
You know, it's funny. It's funny that you question the reliability of those earlier tests, because now they have what's called an RNA test that actually detects the genetic material of the virus. So, you know, it just shows how advanced the testing has gotten, because it was never, you know, really foolproof back then. And as time went on, they're not just looking for the antibodies, they're looking for the actual genetic material of the virus.
Right, that's right. And again, I list that in the book, right? And the whole reason why this case is going on is because one of the hospital facilities found some remains belonging to Tommy that I wanted them to test. Right? And like you just said, with the updated test.
Yeah, we're losing her again. Okay. Hey, let me see.
I'm back.
Okay, are you back? All right, let me ask you a question, Trish. There's a book out there, and I'm not going to give the title because I don't want to give it any more attention than it really deserves, which it deserves nothing. But the book slams Tommy apparently for being a racist, states that he's homophobic, etc. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, there's obviously an agenda there. The one thing that it doesn't have, guys, is it doesn't have any of the post-mortem, any of the ante-mortem, any of the results from AIDS tests. So what it's doing is it's just slamming him, character assassinating him, and also blackening the memory of the dead. You know, why? Why is he doing that? I'm not even mentioned in the book. Not that I want to be mentioned, the way he's writing up, you know, about the people and about the family, the Morrison family. But it just seems very inappropriate, especially because we're coming up to the U.S. Supreme Court. You know, is he make this case about somebody that, you know, that's not happened. Never racist.
Yeah. And also too, the book actually claims that Tommy was actually married to 2 women at the same time. And so did that ESPN documentary. He claimed he was married to 2 people at the same time. And this was something that I know they touched on this on the ESPN, but Trisha, would you marry somebody knowing that they were married already? I mean,
no, not at all. I mean, I just can't figure that one out. You know, plus he's a celebrity. Right. Everybody knew he was married. So why would you marry somebody that's married? And quite honestly, you know, it's something that I need to look into further. you also have to do testing, or had to do testing in Mexico, have HIV testing before you got a marriage license. You had to be in Mexico for so many days. So I'm not too sure whether that was even marriage to begin with, but absolutely not. I married somebody that's already married. Not even if they asked me, right? If Tommy had asked me to marry him and he was married, I'd go, no, are you crazy?
Yeah, any rational person would, I mean, exactly.
Right.
Let me ask you just one more question before I let you out of here. Do you feel, I mean, I know you're so bogged down with this court case and with everything that goes along with it. It really, if you're going to the Supreme Court and as much research, has to consume a lot of your life. Are you able as a person to move forward, or are you still kind of stuck here? Once this is solved and once this is said and done, whatever way it goes, then you're going to move forward? Or how do you tell me about that?
Well, I find this whole thing fascinating. I think it's horrible what Tommy had to suffer. I think it's very strange that other people are still dragging on Tommy's name through books and through ESPN 30 documentaries, through future plans to make a movie, without even mentioning the real ending of Tommy's story. Can I move on? You move on every day, but every day you find something new. And I promised Tommy that I would exonerate him. It's a horrible thing for somebody to be told that they have this horrible virus and can infect you when he never had it, right? But he suffered every single day with people not wanting to touch his hand, not wanting to know him. And now suddenly everybody claims to have been his friend, right? Everybody wants to do the story right. Well, let's do the story right. Let's find out exactly everything that happened that shouldn't have happened, which is what I'm doing. And let's clear his name. If you really want something good for Tommy, let's clear his name. It's his story, not everybody else's story that was with Tommy. I am doing Tommy's story, how he lived it, how he felt it, and what was wrong and what was right in his world. So it's a tough question there. Can I move on? I think I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm in the fight mode, and I'll fight for him. I will always fight for him. And if I had ever found out stuff that wasn't true, wasn't right, I'd be the first one to say it, like getting married to somebody else. No, that wasn't right, when you're already married. But then it takes two, right? I would not marry somebody that was already married. But let's get the story straight. Let's not butcher him anymore. And let's not blacken his memory. He was a good guy. He was a good fighter. He deserves to have the truth out there. And this could happen to somebody else. This could happen to another boxer. Another boxer could turn positive for so-called HIV when really he has sinusitis that can trigger a false positive. So I think that the commission has learned a lot. I don't think the commission is angry with me trying to find out exactly what happened. I think that they realized that they were wrong. And I think that with regards to the testing that was done on Tommy throughout his life until the end of his life, didn't detect virus. And you needed to have that detected before you could say that those antibodies belonged to a deadly virus. So I'll keep at it. We're not finished yet. The story's not finished yet. And let's see what happens with the US Supreme Court. And I really appreciate you guys following, because there's a lot of the boxing media that, up until when Tommy died, it was top news, right? As soon as the post-mortem came out showing that he had no HIV and no AIDS, they will not even do one story for me. Why do you think that is? Why?
Well, you know why. With the biggest commission and everything like that, there's a lot of people. If this goes your way, and you've got all the facts on your side. If this goes your way, this is a big deal. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
This will be a bigger win than Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson if you win this case.
Right. Yeah. Well, we've won already. We really have won already. I mean, we found out that the commission were using a law that didn't exist. We found out that the testing didn't detect the virus. And we found out that Tommy, when he died and before he died, didn't have the virus. We've won already. So now what we have to do is they have to pay for what happened. And, you know, I will keep pursuing that. And, you know, it's not payment towards me. I have the whole list of what Tommy wanted his purse to go to. You know, a boxer's retired fund, his family, you know, even paying for one of his son's teeth to get fixed. I mean, I know exactly what he wanted to do with his funds. And I can't wait. I can't wait for those things to happen for him. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to fight this right to the very end.
Excellent.
I'll tell you what, when I heard you were going to the U.S. Supreme Court, when you sent me that message and said that you're going to the Supreme Court,
yeah,
I was floored, and I was just proud of you. I really was. I was just proud, because you know how many and we talked about this prior to the show, how many lawyers, that's like a lawyer's dream to be in front of the Supreme Court. That's the biggest court in the United States. You know, it's just amazing that you're there right now. We wish you all the luck in the world. You got all the facts in the world on your side. So now they just got to make the right decision and get it done, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you have a copy of the book. But yeah, definitely, if anybody wants a copy of the book in front of the U.S. Supreme Court that has the true story of Tommy Morrison, they can contact you, and then I can just email it out, or they can message me direct. But I would love to get that out to everybody. They need to see that, because the boxing media are not showing it. And,
now, what is your
out there?
Now, you can get at me on Twitter at Ringside73, and I can get you a copy. Or Trish, what is your Twitter handle?
Well, I'm kind of on it. I would prefer if they emailed me, because then I definitely have their email address. So it would be Tommy and Trisha Morrison. So that's TOMMYANDTRISHA. Morrison, and at yahoo.com. So Tommy and Trisha Morrison at yahoo.com. And I'll get that out to you immediately. You know, I'm not hiding anything. And it's all in the U.S. Supreme Court. I haven't fluffed up anything. It's based on facts. It's based on case law, you know, as much supporting case law as possible, although there is no other case like this. You know, this is the first of its kind.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Trish, thank you so much for coming out here on a Sunday. We appreciate it. And good luck to you, man. And you're going to have to come back. We'll have you back on soon for sure.
All right. Well, I appreciate it very much. And I'm sorry about the glitches in the internet. I think we're probably having another tornado soon. So.
Oh, geez. Well, stay safe over there, man.
Oh, well, you know, this whole case, I mean, I've been through tornadoes, hailstorms. I mean, every kind of weather condition just to deliver the documents to the post office. So tornado here and there is not going to stop me either, right?
That's not going to stop you. That's right. That's right. All right. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. All right. That was Trisha Morrison. That was awesome, man. That's amazing. To me, it's such an amazing story. And I can't get enough of it. It's one of those things that, listen, I'm just fascinated by it. It is what it is. You know, we both grew up watching Tommy Morrison. We watched all the fighters in that era. We watched Tommy Morrison, and to get to watch his son was amazing too. But knowing the story, what we thought was the story, and then finding out years later that wasn't, you know what I mean? And this is all documented. It's not a conspiracy theory, guys. It's documented. That's the crazy part. is there's facts backing it up. It's not just somebody saying, oh, it didn't have this, he didn't have this, blah, blah, blah. They're facts, hard facts, son. So that's will she win in Supreme Court? Listen, she's there. Well, and she's got just as good a chance as to win as she does to lose, man.
She said something very, very important that makes a lot of sense. Is basically she's already won because they're listening. The fact that they're going to listen to the case, the information is being put out there, right? So at least she knows that she put the truth out there and it's being heard by a lot of people now. So that in itself is a win for her and a win for Tommy and his family as well. I would imagine.
Absolutely. It's like I said, man, it's amazing. It really is, man. Really is. All right, let's get to boxing here. The big fight last night, Beeb. The big fight. ESPN. Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. That's right, Jack. Stevenson. Hey, where is Chandler M? That's what I want to know. Where's Chandler M? Because he owes me a pie in the face. That's what happens. That's what happens, right? He owes me a pie. Shakur Stevenson beat Oscar Valdez by a unanimous decision, 117, 110, 118, 109, twice. Stevenson scored a knockdown in the 6th round. It was kind of an off-balance knockdown, but he had Valdez off balance the entire fight, man. Listen, Valdez was trying. He was doing his best. He just couldn't touch Stevenson. Stevenson worked off his jab. Just his footwork alone was winning this fight for him. The angles he was able to put, just getting out of harm's way, putting in shots. I mean, it was something to watch, man. That guy is really, really skilled. We all know how good Valdez is. And he just got washed in this fight. Completely whitewashed. You know, I think I gave him 2 rounds or something like that. It's time to admit, man, Shakur Stevenson has arrived, and he's one of the best out there right now. He really is. B, what were your thoughts on this one, man?
This is blasphemous. That we're going to lead off with this fight instead of the other one. But you know what?
It's the big one.
I'm going to take one for the team this week.
That's right. You take one for the team.
I'm going to take one for the team. And I'm going to file a dispute with Human Resources tomorrow, and I'm going to let them. And I'm going to
call Lois. You let me know. All right.
And I'm going to let the production team know. You know that this is the thing. When people talk about speed, right? It gets made as a blanket statement. It's one thing having speed, right?
Yeah.
But footwork is also very important. So you could be fast, but you have to know how to position your feet, and you have to know how to gauge range. And Shakur Stevenson does it just as good, if not better, than anyone out there right now. Valdez kept trying to come forward, but Stevenson would not stand still for him. He kept stepping around him. He kept turning him all night. And this was basically a bull versus a matador. And it was actually a little painful to watch at points because we saw Valdez get desperate. He was lunging in, and it just became like target practice. His face was getting busted up. He was getting beat up in there. And there was points in the fight where I thought that Stevenson was possibly going to stop him. And he was standing there just long enough to get his shots off, and on the turn of a dime, he was just stepping around Valdez, turning him. There was just no way Valdez could pin Stevenson down, and I don't think there's many guys out there, if anyone at all, that can. I think I'm so high on this young man. I think he could go up to 135, and I think he could dominate there. And funny thing too is my brother was actually watching this fight with me, and he looked at him because my brother's a casual boxing fan. He doesn't really, follow the sport like me. And he goes, is that guy a welterweight? That's how big he looked in there. He looked huge. He looked a lot bigger than Valdez.
Man. Yeah.
So,
what do you think he walks around at?
I would have to say at least 150 pounds.
That's what I was about to say. 150 or something like that.
At least.
Stephen Pryor says that he thought that Valdez could have done better. You know what? I don't think he could have. I'll be honest.
I don't think he could have either.
I think that he looked ready for that fight. Clearly he was in shape. He was throwing punches. He caught him a couple of times. I mean, he was connecting with shots. I think Shakur was just too skilled for him. I really do. And I think it was I'll tell you what else. And maybe Stefan will agree with me, maybe he won't. But I think it was a bad style matchup for Valdez. I think Shakur's a bad style match for a lot of people, but especially Valdez. That's not really his game right there. He had to go out and search for him, and he was putting pressure on. He did everything you're supposed to do against that guy. Shakur's a step quicker, man.
There was a reason why that fight wasn't made at 126, and they were going to put that fight off as long as they can. If you're Team Valdez, you don't want this fight.
No,
you don't want this fight. You take it. You only take it when you have to. And at the point when they did take it, I'm sure it was, very financially lucrative for them. So it made sense at that time, anyways. But yeah, this was a very one-sided fight, and
one-sided.
You could even say that there was points in this fight where you asked yourself if Valdez was going to make it to the end, because he was really getting beat up, I thought.
Well, and I think his corner said no, or was that, maybe it was the other one, but it looked like Valdez was real shaky at times in there.
Yeah. He looked like
you can't get hit. I don't care how much power you think Stevenson has or hasn't. You can't get hit completely, flush that many times.
Yeah.
Before you're going to feel it. You're just going to feel it, man.
And it wasn't like even though Valdez was trying really hard and he was coming forward a lot, like he was getting frozen in his tracks a lot with that left hand. Like, I don't want to hear that Stevenson can't punch anymore. I mean, he's not Julian the Hawk Jackson. Okay, that's fine. But guys aren't just going to walk through these punches. I just don't see that happening. I think he hits hard enough to get guys' attention. It reminds me of Floyd, when people used to say Floyd can't punch. Okay, but like no one ever walked Floyd down. Like when Canelo fought Floyd, he was the much bigger man. And Floyd was actually stopping Canelo in his tracks. Canelo wasn't walking through those shots. People just weren't walking recklessly with reckless abandon and trying to step to Floyd. And I don't think they're gonna be doing that with Shakur Stevenson either, in my opinion. I think his power is underrated because he's such a sharp puncher and he hits you with shots that you can't see and you're not prepared to take. And he's so accurate with his shots. I think he's a dangerous puncher. I think he's got that surprise element to those punches. And because he's so quick and sharp, you can't, as an opponent of him, you can't brace yourself for those shots because you're not able to see them.
No. There was talk about him fighting Devin Haney next, or not next, but they said in the future fighting Devin Haney. That's a crazy fight too, man, because I like Devin Haney a lot. But I think once Devin Haney unifies after he beats Kambosos in June or whatever, I think he's moving up. Yeah, I think he's moving up. So if you're looking forward to that fight, I don't think that fight's happening anytime soon, put it that way. So, but Shakur looked great last night, man. He really did. He looked like he's one of the best out there, man. Keyshawn Davis and Esteban Sanchez. Keyshawn Davis, of course, in the Olympics, U.S. Olympian this past Olympics here. Now, he wins via 6-round TKO. Now, Sanchez, the guy he was fighting, was a good fighter. That guy came in, Beeb, check this out, with 19 fights. Sanchez came in with 19 fights. Davis had 4. But the fight was really all Davis. I mean, he ended up knocking him out and everything like that. And, Davis is just faster, better schooled. Those guys that go to the Olympics and intern pro, they are miles ahead of everybody else that just comes to pro and just starts. You know what I mean? When you're in the Olympics, you see so many different styles, man. So many different styles. Nico Walsh-Ali won with a first-round knockout. Tell you what, say what you want, but he looked really good here. He's really improved over the last few fights. That KO combination that he threw, that left and then right hook or right cross or whatever, it was perfect, man. I mean, that was impressive. That was an impressive win.
Yeah, he's doing his best. He's trying to, at the very least, we can say he is serious about his career, and he is trying. He does want to become a legitimate fighter.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to become, a champion. Put it that way. It's going to be tough for him, but he looks good and he's doing the right things. So listen, it's tough for anybody. So there you go.
I agree.
All right, Beeb, it's the moment you've been waiting for. DAZN And we got a bunch of people waiting on the line. We'll get to you in just a second. We're going to go through this card, and then we're going straight to the phones. The main event on DAZN, I got to say it, Jesse Vargas versus Liam Smith. Liam Smith wins via 10th round TKO over Jesse Vargas. I thought this was a classic. I thought it was a classic that he left, that DAZN put up a social media poll, okay, after this and said, who should Vargas fight next? Who should Vargas fight next? Nobody. Vargas is done, son. All right. His heart's not in it anyway. He's over there running for office. He's over there, Trump's main man now. He's running for office over there in Nevada. Listen, he got to go, son. His heart's not in it anymore. Don't get me wrong. Liam Smith didn't look that great either. But, he did enough to win. He won the fight, and he actually came on. He didn't actually look bad. He looked all right, man. Won his fight. What do you want? But it was a back and forth fight, though. It was all right. All right. And then there was another chick fight on there. Franchon Cruz-Dezurn versus Eileen Cacereros. Franchon Cruz-Dezurn wins a unanimous decision. That's because I didn't actually watch that fight.
Please.
All right.
Please.
So upcoming fights. Should we do upcoming fights, or should we go to the phones, or what do you want to do? Was there another fight?
Go to the real main event, goddammit. What are you doing here? Please. You're killing me.
Main event on DAZN, I guess Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. Katie Taylor wins a split decision over Amanda Serrano, 96-94 for Serrano, 97-93 for Taylor, 96-93 for Taylor. There you go. That's the news. All right.
That was the best female fight of all time. This uplifted women's boxing. There were no losers here. Everyone won.
I think Serrano would disagree with you because she lost. I think Jake Paul lost $1 million to Eddie Hearn on this fight, so I would think he would disagree with you. So
it wasn't a legit bet. They had to void the bet out. They
shook on it. I mean,
promoters can't bet on fights. They can't. It's conflict of interest. Can't do it.
What do you think? You're Trisha Morrison? You're a lawyer now? What are you doing? It's just a conflict of interest over in Beeb Industries.
Beeb does his homework. Come on.
Stop it. I watched the fight. I was actually watching a movie at the time, and I had this fight set up on the table next to me. So I was glancing over from time to time. It was good. It was good action, I guess. 2-minute rounds, 10 rounds. I don't know what kind of championship that is, but whatever. Hey, everybody else seemed to like it. It's their cup of tea. Wonderful.
So who'd you have winning this fight, Eric?
I believe I had Amanda Serrano winning it. Let me check the score. I believe it was let me see here. I had it a little bit closer here. Let me see. Let's see. Taylor Serrano. There it is. I had it, 96-94 for Serrano.
No, I had it 96-94 for Taylor. And I thought this fight was razor close. I thought there was a lot of swing rounds in this fight. Who did you give the last round to? I'm just curious.
Let's see here. I think Taylor, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I gave it to Taylor.
Now, did you have Taylor winning the last 3 rounds, or did you give any of those last 3 rounds to Serrano?
I gave Serrano the 8th round.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I gave Serrano the 8th round.
All right. So do you think this was a robbery, or do you think that it could have gone either way? Because a lot of people...
they ought to be happy they were in the main event, so there was no losers, as you say. But was it a robbery? Nah. A lot of people think Serrano won it, but Katie Taylor was doing a great job boxing. She was, Serrano we knew would come forward. Some of the combinations that Taylor was throwing were really impressive. I mean, they really were. She was landing some really good shots there.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. Do you think that Serrano really was, I don't want to say she was one-dimensional, but from the 3rd round to the 6th round, she was swinging for the fences, and she was just coming forward. She wasn't really jabbing her way in. She was throwing a lot of power shots. And even in that 5th round, she landed like 45 punches in that round. Could it be possible that because, she was so aggressive, and she was throwing so many punches, and she was throwing mostly power punches, do you think she kind of blew her wad in the middle of that?
Of course. Yeah. Listen, man, you know yourself, man. When you throw those big shots, when you put mustard on your shots, that takes it out, and you miss or you hit, it takes it out of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like you're just eating. It's not even like she was throwing for the fences. I mean, she wasn't, letting her punches time. She wasn't varying up speed, anything like that. She was just coming forward punching, and a lot of those punches caught arm. And a lot of Katie Taylor's punches caught face and body and everything like that. Now, if you look at the punch stats in 5th round, you'll see there's a big discrepancy, like 55 to 20 or something like that. There's a huge discrepancy there. Every other round was close.
Correct.
Like real close. And most of them went to Katie Taylor. If you look at the punch stats, I believe most of them went to Katie Taylor, but I don't know. I don't know for a fact, so I'm not going to lie on that sword.
There's a great channel that I like here, Ring IQ, and he made a great point about this fight. He said, Katie Taylor won this fight with her feet. Mm-hmm. And she really did, because you could tell both of these young ladies are highly skilled fighters, without question. But the one glaring difference here was Katie Taylor's footwork and movement, right? Mm-hmm. She was really, moving and not standing in front of Serrano. She was changing levels. She was getting lower. So she was making a lot of adjustments as this fight wore on. The fight started out like a little slow. The first 2 rounds were kind of feel-out rounds. Then Amanda Serrano really picked up the pace. And Katie Taylor said something interesting at the post-fight press conference. She said, well, I like a good tear-up. I kind of stood in the pocket too long and tried to trade with her. In my opinion, I think she imposed her will on Katie Taylor, and she forced her to fight. Like, when Katie Taylor had to fight her off her, because at that point, she was just throwing so many punches. She was just so aggressive. And, if she didn't slow down, who knows what would have happened. Now, Katie Taylor's movement is what saved the day here, because then she started really getting back on her jab, started trying to fight the fight from a distance. And, she was just circling and circling and circling and not staying stationary that much. And Serrano was actually slowing down. And once she saw Serrano slowing down, then that was the perfect opportunity for her to get back on her boxing and not stay in the pocket and get in these exchanges. But I think, in that 5th round and that 6th round, there was no stopping Amanda Serrano. She was like a woman possessed in there, the way she came forward and just went for it. And that was the first time ever that I was so tempted to score that 5th round 10-8, but I didn't, because I said to myself, I never do that if a knockdown's not scored. So I wanted to be consistent in how I score. So I did score it 10-9, but one judge did score that 5th round 10-8 for Serrano. The one surprising thing to me is 2 of the judges only gave Serrano 3 rounds. I find that very hard to believe that she only won 3 rounds, but I gave her 4. But again, I could have easily given her that 10th round too. I thought that 10th round was close. There were a lot of swing rounds in this fight. I think it's really hard to say which rounds were the definitive ones. I know that 5 rounds, I could say rounds 5 were maybe rounds 5 and 6 for Serrano were definitive. I don't know. Round 7 I thought was kind of a swing round. I kind of thought rounds 8 and 9 were Taylor rounds, but you gave one of those rounds to Serrano. So these scorecards.
I was watching the movie at the time, so just kind of take it for what it is. Please, I was kind of glancing at the screen.
Please don't diminish this fight anymore, man. You're this is just horrible.
What did I say? I didn't say nothing.
This is just horrible, man.
I didn't even say nothing, man.
This was a huge historic event.
Great. What's the next big historic women's fight? Who do you got now? Who's there? Nobody.
I mean, they could do this again.
Yeah, they'll keep doing it 10 more times because, why not? It's the only 2. It's the only 2 you know. It's the only 2 they got.
Well, what about Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall? You're not looking forward to that one?
Yeah, that's a monster fight. First of all, I saw Shields yesterday, and Anywho, secondly,
what do you mean? What is that? What do you mean? Are you insulting her appearance or something? Is that what you're trying to hint around at?
I think you know. What
was wrong with her appearance? Why don't you be specific?
Just saying.
Don't dance around it.
She didn't look in fighting shape. I'll say that.
So you don't think she'll be ready?
Savannah Marshall, this was such a big fight, such a big fight. Savannah Marshall didn't even show up to the press conference. How about that? Yeah, how about that?
Come on, man.
Yeah, that's
Come on,
right.
man.
All right, let's go to the phones here because, I'm sure everybody want to talk about the Shakur Stevenson fight. 516, you're live.
Yo, Jesse Reekin, I beat Robbie as the first call on the line. Wow.
You did. You actually beat Robert as the first caller.
Eric.
Yeah, you sure did.
Are you
So
listening
what
to
did you
this
think about
misogyny?
Shakur? What did you think about Shakur Stevenson yesterday? Thought he looked good, right?
Yeah, I just think it was such a more boring fight than Serrano Taylor.
Well, sure. When you got listen, I've gone to the bar and
it.
seen two guys fight. Doesn't mean I have to appreciate it,
I had to watch it on DVR because Serrano Taylor, I was at the Garden supporting my girl Serrano. And draw, man. I wish it was a draw. But, yeah, Shakur did his thing, man, calling out Canelo. I don't know about that one. But, Stevenson looked impressive. He did what he was supposed to do. How do you feel about a female fight being fight of the year?
I don't think it was the fight of the year. I don't know.
Can you at least give credit?
It's a fight of the year contender.
Maybe a contender, but I don't know if it's the fight of the year. I don't even know that it's a really contender.
Can you at least give credit to this fight, please?
What? What do you want me to say? It was okay.
One day you just put your misogyny aside, right?
Misogyny away.
Can you just put it to the side for one day? Can you just enjoy the moment? Can you just acknowledge history was made yesterday? Can you just acknowledge it?
What's that say? What's that say? Eric is right. Thank you, Hamed. There it is. Look, I didn't write that. I didn't write that.
This is horrible.
And Jake Paul is boxing savior.
I enjoyed watching Jake Paul. I'll tell you what, to me, that was the most entertaining. When they were talking to Jake Paul, watching him out there, that was the most entertaining part for me. Because Jake Paul's from Ohio, and he's always entertaining. We're always entertaining people, So that to me was the highlight of the show. You would agree, correct?
Yeah, I like how he was getting booed and he just kind of embraced it.
Right.
He's playing that bad guy role.
You thought that was good too, huh?
Up to perfection.
Even Jesse Reekin thinks that was the highlight of the show.
Jesse, don't humor this guy, please. Please don't humor this guy. Don't humor this guy.
I'm a Jake Paul fan.
Okay.
I should have wore that to the Garden. Yeah, man. But yeah, great. It was a great event they put together. Him and Eddie Hearn too. Jesse Vargas versus Liam Smith was a good fight. I was going for Jesse. I've always been a Jesse fan. But I think you guys are right in the sense that he has to hang up the gloves. And great interview with Trisha Morrison. A lot of insight. I can't wait till you guys get the son. I didn't even know his son boxed. I can't wait till you guys get him on the podcast.
Yeah, Trisha's amazing.
Him up. He looks exactly like Tommy.
Yeah, he does. Both of them. Both of those guys do. Kenzie does, and
I'm gonna have
Trey
to go
does.
through you, Eric, to get that book.
Yeah, for sure.
And B, man, great question. Man, that was like the best question.
Thank you.
Asked.
Eric's
question ever. That was the worst
Eric was minimizing everything I said in that interview because he just can't understand
that
my
was
knowledge.
Journalism at its finest. But I'll let you guys get out. I'm out of here. I'll let you guys get to it. I'll stay on the line and listen to the calls.
All right.
If it's okay with you guys.
Sounds good,
Jesse.
man. Sounds good.
Thank you, brother.
All right. I think this is Robbie. Yes, this is Robert. Ringside Robert, my man.
Hello, guys.
How are you, son?
Hey, Robbie.
I'm doing good. And what a fight in New York City last night.
You talking about the Shakur fight? The Jesse Vargas.
No.
That Liam Smith Jesse Vargas fight was awesome, right? That was good.
No. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, man.
Huh?
Good fight. And
that one? Yeah, I guess
you know
it was
what?
all right.
Yeah. Oh, come, Eric.
What?
Get out of here.
What'd I say?
Get out of here with that. Get out of here with
What'd I
that
say?
stuff.
I didn't say nothing. I said it was an okay fight.
This misogyny will never end.
We went through the first 4 months of the year, and by far, yesterday's fight between those two has been the best fight this year so far.
It's two people in there trading punches. That's all it was. No real, like watching Shakur last night. That guy's got some legit skills. Let me tell you that right now.
Well, you know what? As far as Shakur Stevenson goes, he's going to dominate 130.
Yeah,
He'll dominate 135. I don't know if there's anybody out there in either one of those two divisions that'll actually give him a fight. I think he's going to have easy work from now on.
Robbie, let me ask you a question. How did you score that? How did you score the Amanda Serrano Katie Taylor fight?
I had it 96-94 for Serrano, but I picked Taylor before the fight, so I scored it for Serrano.
Wow.
A lot of people had Serrano winning this fight, Eric. Wow.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't wait till September or October when they do it again. I'm looking forward to the rematch.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Robbie. And I had this discussion this morning with some guys. They were talking about putting the fight, in Ireland, the rematch. But my whole thing is
that's correct.
My whole thing is, why wouldn't you just bring it right back to the Madison Square Garden? Look at the crowd you had there, and wouldn't it be more of a lucrative fight if you put it in America, because the ticket prices would be more expensive than if you put it in Ireland? And even Maestro made a great point this morning. Why not put it in put it in Yankee Stadium? Why not bring it right back here where there's a lot of Irish and Puerto Rican people? Why not?
You know why they don't want to put it in Yankee Stadium?
Why not
Because they want it to do well and sell out.
Please, Eric, please. Why not embrace both fan bases and maximize the revenue for this fight by putting it in the United States? Why not do that? With all due respect to the Irish fans, with all due respect to Katie Taylor, I just think it would be do better here.
He's right. Little Penny's right though. The rematch will be in Croke Park, Dublin. 90,000 people. He's right.
They
love it over there. They love her over there, man.
I think there's 60,000. I think there's 60,000 people in that stadium, not 90.
I don't know. 50 there plus can.
But how much are they going to be charged for tickets though? Like in the Madison Square Garden, they can charge. Those tickets were expensive.
Or I didn't even check on them. I didn't even check on them. Did you check on them?
Eric, please. Please, Eric.
Man, I ask a question. Why is it? I don't understand. Why is it I can't ask questions? I can't have an opinion anymore?
These aren't questions. These are just horrific statements being made by you.
They're not statements. There's a difference between a statement and a question. These are questions. Big difference. Grammar's fun.
No, I agree with you, Joe. I think it should be over here. But, Eddie Hearn and Jake Paul, they'll agree where to put it, and that's where it'll be. But
where would you rather it be, Eric? Excuse me. Where would you rather it be, Robbie?
Off my TV.
I would, for money making purposes, I'd rather it be here. But I'm not Eddie Hearn or Jake Paul. They have to make that decision. And if Katie Taylor wants a fight at home, since she won the first fight, it is her right to do that. And Amanda Serrano already said. They asked her, "Will you go to Ireland?" And she said, "Yes."
You think Amanda Serrano is going to keep crying about not getting any press coverage after this?
No, she can't from now on. She can't from now on. But and before I get out of here, I didn't get a chance to make my picks publicly last week.
It's too late to make them now.
On Saturday, so
Canelo on Saturday.
Definitely taking.
All right, well, you're stepping out of the box there. That's a
hard one.
Big risk. Yeah, it's a big risk there.
Robbie, bet the chalk, Eric.
I think it'll be a competitive. Yeah.
Robbie, bet the chalk, Eric.
It'll be a competitive fight. Okay, Joe. All right.
Robbie, is it gonna be cold? Is it gonna be cold in Boston in December?
Of course it will.
That's
you know that.
Okay, master of the obvious. Good job.
By the way, speaking of cold today, your Celtics rise cold.
Oh wow,
Robbie, where's your Lakers?
He just went.
Where's your Lakers?
He doesn't do that. He's a Golden State guy.
I'm not a Lakers guy. My Warriors won. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's a Golden State dude.
You front runner.
Yeah.
You're a front runner.
That's his team. He's right by there.
I've been a Warriors fan all my life.
Yeah.
Leave me alone, man. We won.
Yeah, you've been a Warriors fan this year. Cut it out.
Didn't show up today.
Hey, why don't you? What's your Raiders doing a draft? They did pretty well.
They did okay. I'll find out more details tomorrow when I get to hear Mark Davis.
Whatever.
And hey, I love Mark Davis because you know what? He shows up to every fight in Vegas, and he shows up and watches all the undercard fights too. Yep.
There it is. You know who dominated the draft?
And he.
You know, Bengals, son. The Bengals and the Bearcats dominated too. Like, what if 9 of them went? 9 of our guys went.
Yeah. Well, how about 19? How about 19 Georgia Bulldogs, Eric?
They were national champions from the SEC. Son, we're a low division conference.
Come on,
look at us.
Well, you know what? In a couple of years, you'll be joining the Big 12. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I live here, son. Yeah. Of course, I'm aware of it. All right, I got to go.
Okay.
All right.
Robbie thinks he's breaking news.
All right.
I am like he's breaking news. They're going to be in the Big 12.
Get him out of here.
508. You're live. I think this is Georgie from Rikers.
Hey, yo, what's happening, people? Where
Georgie.
What's with that robbery, man?
Oh, God.
What's going on with that robbery?
You thought Valdez should have won that fight?
Yeah, pretty much. B.
Yes, sir.
Yo.
What's up?
What's going on with that fight, though? You think that shit was a robbery? I know you don't think it was a robbery, but man, that shit could go either way. But when they say about a robbery, I think about, okay, the fucking so-called judges only give them 3 rounds.
Yeah, that was horrible. I didn't agree with that.
And there were some swing rounds. And then, I mean, a little robbery. I mean, maybe not a big robbery, but a little cooking could be going on.
I would have.
You say there was some swing round. How come that didn't show up on the two judges that scored only 3 rounds for fucking?
Probably because the judges fell asleep midway through.
I would have liked to have seen it be a draw. You know what I mean? That way, it kind of just makes the rematch even more enticing. You know what I mean? People are going to want the rematch even more just to get a winner. You know, but I don't know. I thought it was. I think
the rematch is just going to be bigger.
Yeah, the rematch is going to be big no matter what. I guess because the fight was that good. I guess. What did you think?
Listen, the whole thing was the whole. Well,
I think
that the whole thing that Amanda was pulling the trigger, but Taylor was pulling the trigger too. She was quick on it, like you said. She won with her feet, but not really, because every time that they got on range, you know, Taylor makes sure that she lets her hand go quick first.
Yeah.
Amanda was like a little step behind most of the fight, most of the time. Until she get close, until that she got her on the ropes and shit.
Yeah, I thought Katie's feet were quicker in this fight, if I'm being honest. That was the big difference here. Is the foot speed.
She pulled that trigger quick. Yeah, as soon as they went on range, she was letting it go. That was the difference there.
Yeah.
But we always thought as the fans that the match, that the style would match up, you know, that it would be a good fight. We always seen it, that it would be a good fight. We wasn't sure about it. Now that we're sure about it, you know that the rematch is just going to be astronomical.
Yeah, I can't wait for it.
You what I'm saying? Is like the Wilder against Fury. After we see what happens.
Let's not get crazy now. Wilder Fury? Really? Come on. Stop it.
Yeah, we never thought that the style would have matched up that good. These people went mad round. He win the thing all the way. I mean, until fucking Wilder got knocked the fuck out one now, but they was a really good matchup, but the style make fight. You know that's it that we always say on boxing. So now that we've seen it, that it's on display, man, these people they're just gonna go like I think they can. Maybe in Wimbledon, right? That they can pack so many people. You think she can pack that shit down there?
Probably.
Serrano.
Serrano. I don't know. I know
where pack what
in
Ireland.
It's such a big fight. They made. I don't know here in the United States, but down there in the UK, even the chief from Ireland won that, but that venue down there in Wimbledon, there still will be I'm telling you, I think they can do it. Maybe not pack it, but they're going to be like 70%, 80% capacity. I'm excited about it. I know Eric be hating, but whatever. Who cares? Anyways, I got to go. Everybody, shout out to the USA. Yo, let me be out. Shout out to the USA, the UK. You guys deserve it. No robbery. Hopefully we see the rematch somewhere fucking soon. And I got to go. I'm out. Bye.
He said, "Beef, shut up. I'm out." 773, actually 347. You're live. 773. We're coming to you.
Hey, peace. Hey, peace, guys. What's going on?
What's going on?
Hey, I was calling to see if y'all felt that Shakur Stevenson's sportsmanship last night was kind of a little disrespectful. You know, he won the fight. He showed he was the better fighter. I mean, as everybody knew, but I just felt that he could have just just showed some more respect to Valdez after the fight, as in, sportsmanship. Like it was just, it was like what he said afterwards, even though he said, yeah, well, I think Valdez is going to be a champion after this and everything. It just seemed a little staged, a little phony. It didn't seem genuine. Like, I understand he's 24 is not that young to me, but I mean, it is to some people, I guess, but he should know about gamesmanship now. Like, you know what I mean? And I just think that I just want to know if y'all thought that he felt like it was just a little disrespectful, or was it because the crowd was already on Valdez's side?
Yeah, I didn't like the when he put it, he gave the crowd the shush sign at the end. I didn't like him running at the end. And even in the press conference leading up, said some things. Yeah, he's confident. I get it. And but I think what he's trying to do, I think he's trying to play the bad guy role. I think he's trying to play the Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. He's trying to be the guy you hate, because honestly, it's always easier to be the guy you hate than the guy that you like, that people like. So, I don't think that, because he did the same thing with, who was it? Jamel Herring, and I think him and Jamel Herring are pretty good friends or whatever, but it's, I think that's what he's doing though. I don't think it's outright disrespect. But I think that's the route he's going, because that sells tickets,
Yeah. I didn't look at it that way. I mean, he's, but I still think, because like Floyd's genuine, Floyd really believes, he's the best boxer in the world. He really believes that his 50-0 record makes him a great or whatever. I mean, I got all the facts to prove that. I mean, Floyd being 50-0, his record is phony. Floyd is phony. I mean, as one of the greatest. I wouldn't even put Floyd in my top 5, but that's another topic of conversation. I mean, but I'm just saying, Floyd, his mouthpiece was genuine on how he felt. Shakur's just, he might as well not try to, even take that route. Like, I see that, honestly, and I hate to, I'm not trying to make it about race or anything, but a lot of African-American fighters seem like they're trying to take that route due to Floyd, when Floyd was better at it than them, because he just had the mouthpiece. I mean, he genuinely felt that way. I just think all of the rest of the African-American fighters are just copying off of him and just it's just making them dislikable. Like Charlo, for example, like the smaller Charlo, I like him over his bigger brother because I think that he's actually out for a legacy. Rematching Costanzo, that's gonna be, to me, that's the second best fight. I mean, the Serrano fight was, of course, was a banger, whatnot, but I'm just not into that. I didn't know enough about women's boxing to watch. I had no idea who Katie Taylor was, and I only knew Serrano because I'm attracted to her. So, I mean, but like, the Costanzo and Charlo fight, I'm waiting for. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be the second fight of the year. But again, I mean, it just seems like so many African American fighters are trying to take that route with Floyd, and it's really not. It's making them look really dislikable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not like Floyd was genuine. I mean, Floyd really felt that way, and I mean, he was getting wins against. I mean, but I mean, in that era, I mean, he could talk his shit because he was, winning for those fighters. To me, that those fighters that he wanted to fight for, he didn't fight anybody at 135, but at that time, in that era, he could talk that shit or whatever. But at the same time, it's just that Floyd genuinely felt that way. I mean, and these dudes are like staged. You know what I mean? With the persona of the bad guy Floyd thing. You know what I mean? It's just making them dislikable. You know what I mean? And it's just like people now, Floyd. I mean, Shakur is not a Puerto Rican boxer. You know what I mean? Like even Valdez said, he's a North American fighter and he's an African American fighter. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's another topic for conversation. But anyway, I just don't think that fighters need to take that route like behind Floyd. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the blueprint has kind of been laid out, though. I mean, you think about it, the blueprint's been laid out by Floyd. Now, they don't follow the full blueprint because, again, I'll be honest, nobody really worked harder than Floyd at being recognized and everything like that. I mean, he really worked to get to where he was as far as recognition went. But I think the blueprint is already there, and they're trying to follow that, and they're just going to try to take it. And if it works for them, it does. And if not, they'll change it up. I think that's that's kind of what they're doing. Because if it doesn't sell tickets, if you can get them to sell tickets, that's the name of the game,
Right. I got you on that. It's just, it's just not a good look for somebody that's been watching boxing ever since they were a 6-year-old child. You know what I mean? And knows that. Agree. You know what I mean? I mean, that was Floyd's persona. I mean, that let him be. And then Shakur's, saying that he's not like Floyd. He wants to be his own fighter, which I agree with. But him taking that route, I mean, he got to make his mind up. You know what I mean? Because he's shunning people from saying that he's the Floyd comparison, but then you trying to take this route on the dislikable guy to sell tickets and stuff. It's just like it's just not a good look for you or for any other fight. Just be you. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So.
All right, my friend, we're going to get running. We appreciate the call. Thank you so much, man.
All right.
Awesome. He's got a point, but he's, the thing is, like I said, man, Floyd's laid out that blueprint.
Yeah.
And that's you see him making that much money. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to give it a shot too. 773, you're live. 773. Hey, Dale, what's up?
You hear me?
Yes.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. Good.
Dale, what do you think of this misogyny?
Why don't you let him get on and get his point out? We done heard your point. What's this? What was that?
Cot in the garage at this point.
The cot in the garage. Oh, man. My garage is very plush. I'll be fine.
I'm sure you put a few nights in. I'm just kidding. That. No, I'll actually real quickly start with the Vargas fight. only because it was an impressive win by Smith, and all those Smith brothers, I have to shout out to them for raising awareness about autism. I got a younger son with autism, sometimes hear him in the background. But anyway, cool. So props to them. And because I think they have a sister who has it, so that's why they all have it on the trucks when they fight. But yeah, actually in the first 3 rounds of Vargas, and then it was all Smith from there on out. So, but we're going to the real main event.
Talking about the Shakur Stevenson fight.
Serrano. Oh, come on, man. So, no, that fight was great, and shout out to Beeb for doing that show today. That show this morning, it was good stuff. And I actually wound up, I was 95-95, so I was a draw on it. I gave Taylor the first 2 rounds, and then 8, 9, 10. And 10 really close. So I could easily be 96-94 for Serrano. So it's just real close. Like you guys each had 96-94. Either way, I could absolutely see that. It was 97-93, 96-93 was ridiculous. I was tempted, even though it's 1 round difference. It's like that's like Steve said this morning. That's giving every single round to Taylor, you know. So I was tempted to go 10-8 on that, but you know, I don't do it ever then. So you know, it's a knockout, actual knockout. So, but I will say that was a 3-minute round. That could be a different scenario. And I do kind of agree with Shields. Easy for me to say, I'm not a female boxer, but that maybe go start with 10 3-minutes and then take it from there and see how it goes, you know. Because I know, Eric, I know you're kind of joking and stuff, but like,
kind of.
Till they go 3-minute rounds, that is always going to be the narrative, and they're always going to get that.
10 rounds.
They're always going to get that shade.
10 rounds, 2-minute round, 2 minutes, 10 rounds. What is that? Sparring session. What is that? 7 rounds in real life?
It's quick.
What is that? 7 rounds in real life? Yeah. A little under 7 rounds.
Real life. Come on, man.
In real life. That's 3 minutes a round. 7.
What do you mean real life? What was that yesterday? The Matrix? Come on, buddy. That was real boxing yesterday.
Wasn't real life, son. A couple amateurs in there. You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't a movie.
It is what it is.
That was a great fight.
Yeah, they went 6 rounds. That was real competitive.
Fight of the year contender.
Fight of the year contender.
Going crazy.
Come on, man. Stop it.
Yes.
You guys are going crazy.
Was a great fight. Great atmosphere. Packed house. I mean, that was awesome. And I do think, I guess the rematch is set, but I do think if there's a trilogy, I think
cares.
That's a little honey in the chat to mention that.
The trilogy.
Bring it back to MSG.
Who cares if there's a trilogy? I don't even want to see a second fight. I don't even want to see a second fight with these people.
Well, hey, man, you know, see how that goes.
My God.
Maybe Serrano knocks Taylor out in Dublin. That's the only way she's going to win, honestly. I'll go over there.
My God, Eric.
Crazy.
Yeah, 2-minute rounds. 2-minute rounds. We fought 6 rounds last night. Fought roughly 6 rounds last night, and a champion was crowned.
I will say though, until they do,
stop it.
Until they go 3, this is going to come up. So
I will say to Eric's point, they would be taken more serious if they did fight 3-minute rounds.
Yeah,
I do agree with that.
How am I the misogynist here? How am I the misogynist? I say they're worth just as much as the men. I say, yeah, they can fight 3-minute rounds. They can fight 12 rounds. Why do we have to take what? They have to wear pink and we have to cut the rounds down by minutes?
Buddy, you didn't have to slip that one in there with wearing pink.
I'm okay with the 2.
All right.
Just saying.
That's basic.
I'm okay with the 2, but like
chauvinism right there. You can't do that.
Basic chauvinism. Basic chauvinism.
No, man, like I'm okay with the 2, and that's fine. But I will say a couple things. One, that narrative it will always be there, and it won't get the full respect. And also, they're hard to score because I score each minute of each round, and it's a lot easier when that's 3. You know, so you got an odd number of minutes in a round. It's easier to score. It's a lot tougher to score. I will say that. So
it's a lot tougher to score for me because I keep falling asleep watching.
But
so
Rick,
oh come on,
goodness,
oh man. I hope you got a space heater in that garage.
I'm gonna
I hope
need
Lisa's listening. for this. I really do.
I don't think she is. Which is why I'm getting away with all this stuff now.
Oh no.
We're talking to.
But no. But anyway. But I will say, I'm biased, but I wouldn't mind them bringing that fight to Chicago too. Because of our populations here. But I mean that because we have a large Irish population, not just Irish American, like off the boat with the brogue, and Puerto Rican population as well. But that atmosphere was just electric. I mean, you can't beat that last night. So, real quick on Shakur, and I'll keep going. That dude, to the less important fight there. Valdez Stevenson. I mean, that was impressive. I thought, Chandler was going to take that fight, but I thought it'd be a little closer than that. I mean, that was really impressive. Shakur, I mentioned in the chat, like, he's not just scoring points, amateur style, which was his problem in his early fights. He's got a punch. He's got more dog in him now, more bad intentions with his punches, and he's got some power and he's really accurate. Some of his sportsmanship could be a little better. I mean, I gave Valdez the 3rd round, and I gave Valdez the 12th round only because of that running, basically. So I saw that running, I'm like, that's a Valdez round. So anyway.
There you go. All right, Dale, we're going to get running, man. Thank you so much for calling.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, take care.
All right, you too. 443 Baltimore. 443. You're live.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's Troy.
Troy, what's happening?
Yeah, wonderful. It's a Troy Graham experience. But yeah, it's let me thank boxing for Saturday, man. We had some very good fights. We had the Serrano fight. We had the Shakur fight. Franchon Cruz became undisputed, right? We had that.
Yeah, I think so.
And then Friday night we had Rahman Jr. versus Tommy Morrison's son. Unfortunately, Rahman Jr. came up short, but that's okay. It was a damn good fight.
Yeah,
so
they both did well.
Yeah, we got some boxing for the. It's rare that we get 2 days of good boxing, Very rare. But let me say this. I didn't see the Serrano fight yet, so I can't speak on it.
Don't waste your time.
But but I did see the Valdez fight with Shakur. Shakur just washed him away, man. He looks so much bigger than him, though. He looks so much bigger than him.
A lot bigger.
But he washed him away. And the Franchon, I saw the highlights. I'm just happy that she won because now Baltimore has the 2nd undisputed champion and his first female undisputed champion. So that's I think that's history. I'm not sure. But let me say this. I heard you mention, I think it was you, the Floyd blueprint.
Yes.
There's no blueprint because he brought nothing original to the sport. What did he bring that was original to the sport?
When I talk about Floyd's blueprint,
nothing. He barred.
When I talk about Floyd's blueprint, what I mean is the trash talk, the wanting to be hated, the villain, went out of his way to be the villain, but he also went out of his way to hire publicists. Maybe so. And Ali, we know Ali's name, right? Well, Floyd may have followed the same thing, and now he's famous. You know what I mean? But it takes a personality to do it. There's a lot of things that have to go right in order for that to be successful.
Let me tell you something. You know who the blueprint is for that? Or it could go back further than that because I'm only 50. What's his name? Pretty boy
Jack Johnson.
George or what's his name? Huh?
Jack Johnson.
Oh, the wrestler, Gorgeous George, Gorgeous George, the wrestler.
Gorgeous George, yes. Jack Johnson, that wasn't. Listen to me. That wasn't no joke. His life was on the line every time he stepped in the ring. That's why.
Right, but people hated him. People hated him though.
In the same breath as, okay. Oh yes. That's why you should never bring him up with Floyd Mayweather, because he's using hate as a perceived thing. Jack Johnson, it wasn't perceived. They would shoot him to death. in the ring. You hear me?
Right.
So please don't put them in the same vein if they're not. So with Floyd, it's just a marketing thing. And as far as Shakur goes, I don't see the comparison between the two. You know, the young man is just being himself. You know, he's finding his way in the sport. I don't know what the caller was talking about. He's acting like Floyd. I don't see that when I'm getting. I don't, because if he wanted to be like Floyd, the paperwork was right there, and he could have signed with the man when he came out the Olympics.
No, he couldn't.
But he chose not to, right?
No. Floyd did not offer them the contract. Floyd did not offer him a spot. No, he did not. Floyd did not.
He did.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm telling you what I know. Floyd did not offer him a spot.
We'll see now. But anyway.
We'll see now what? When you got the contract? When are you going to produce the contract for us? No.
I can't produce anything that I don't have.
Right, exactly. That's the point.
You can't produce anything you don't have. So
I can't produce the contract because there was no contract.
I got you. Yeah, I agree with you. We're all in agreement, okay?
Sounds good.
Hallelujah. But anyway, like I was saying, as far as Shakur, I would like to see him, if he decides to stay at 130, I don't know who's down there, but I know who's up at 135. There's always Devin, and the winner of the fight between him and Kambosos, right? How you doing? And just some other fights up there too. There's Tank. If Tank gets away from Floyd, there's just a lot of other fights up there. So let me jump off here. Are you here for me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me jump off here. I gotta go talk.
All right, sounds good, man.
Good night.
All right, man.
This guy had to stop shop.
He had to pump somebody's gas. He had to go.
Jesus. He was pumping someone's gas?
I don't. 630, you're live. Sell them somebody oranges.
What's going on, fellas? How you doing?
What's up, man? Who are we speaking with?
Hello.
Yes.
John from Chicago. John with Tactical Trading, my friend. What's going on, guys?
Tactical Trading. John from Chicago.
Hey, that's right, my man. I haven't called in probably about 3 years.
All right.
I've been a listener for a while, but
nice.
I haven't got on the phone in a while. So how you guys been?
Good, man. Good.
But man, I tell you what, I don't know. The Taylor Serrano fight was pretty good. I mean, for girls, I'm not a big female fight fan, but I guess they kind of changed the game for the females. But I want to kind of touch on that Stevens fight. I don't know, Valdez. I mean, if you watch that fight, the way he came in, winging punches, off balance, squared up. I mean, he offered nothing for Stevenson. I mean, I was impressed with Stevenson, but the way how many times is the ref going to warn him for holding his head back and not take a point? Everything that was going on in that fight, I don't know. I think Stevenson can be taken advantage of. I really do. If he moves, I mean, there's really no one for him at 130, I don't think. So I think he can easily unify those titles. But if he moves up to 135, I think he's going to have some problems. I think Lomachenko right now would beat him. Tank, I think, would tear his head off. And other than that, I think he beats Kambosos. I think he beats Haney. I'm not a big fan of Haney either. He couldn't punch through a wet piece of paper. But other than that, I mean, I like Stevenson, but I just don't know. I think they're making a bigger deal out of this kid than he really is. He's got good footwork, good hand speed, but I don't know at 135. I don't think he's going to have any pop.
It'll be interesting, that's for sure. They talked about him and Haney, and again, we think Haney moves up after he unifies, and then but he's got I think he beats Lomachenko. I think he beats I think he beats a lot of those guys, man. Him and Tank would be a super fight.
It's a Tank. I just think Tank's a different animal. I really do. And I don't think Tank's going to stay at one. I mean, he's going to go. I think he's going to go up to 140. He's got a bigger build anyway. He can make 135, but I think he's going to go up to 140. I believe. I don't think Tank's going to stick around 135 really. But unless a good fight's off the point, I think Tank beats Haney. I don't think Kambosos getting past Haney. I really don't. So I think Haney might be the guy at 135, and I think him and Tank would be a great fight. Stevenson, like I said, the kid looks good. He's got all the tools. I just don't know if he brings any power with him to 135. If you watch the tape on him, he has surprising power at 130. I've seen him drop a lot of guys where you look at the shot and you're like, wow, where did that come from? But I don't know. He's not busy enough, in my opinion, for a guy like Lomachenko. I really don't think he's busy enough. Lomachenko's footwork, I think he'll dance circles around him. But again, that's my opinion. So.
Good deal. All right, John, we're going to get running, man. Thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it. I don't know. I tell you, Beeb, I think Shakur is a good fighter. I think he gives any of those guys at least a hard time. If he doesn't win, I believe he gives them a hard time.
I think I think he can beat them all if you want me to be honest.
I think so too. 716, you're live. Then again, maybe you're not. All right, 716, gone. 703, you're live.
Hey, gentlemen, how you guys doing?
What's the word, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Before I get started here, hey, Beeb, you're talking to a fellow Massachusetts resident. Although I'm in D.C., I'm on the South Shore, home of the champions. I think you know where that is, right?
I got you. Foxborough.
Oh, Foxborough? No. That's Brockton, Mass.
Okay.
Come on, Beeb. You should know that.
Okay. He should have known. He lives there, and he should have known. You're a disgrace to Boston, Beeb.
He made a very vague statement, man.
No. I understood. I knew it was Brockton.
I said home of the champions.
I knew it was Brockton.
I'm from. I went to high school in Everett. Yeah, we were the champs. We were the champs. Look at all the football titles we had in Everett.
Listen, you blew it. All right? You might as well be from Kentucky or somewhere. What's the matter with you?
Okay.
There you go. Tell him. Hey, listen, I missed the beginning of the show. I heard last week. I've been listening to you guys for the last couple of months here.
Thank you.
Obviously, Eric, I know you said the ladies fight. I want to know, how did you guys have that? Who did you guys say won that fight?
I thought Serrano won the fight. I had an 86-84.
I had it.
I'm with you. Bees, how about you?
I had it for Taylor 96-94, but
96-94. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it could have really gone either way. I was a little bit disappointed.
Aren't you surprised?
Go ahead.
Weren't you guys surprised of the disparity of the vote of the cards? And weren't you also surprised that there wasn't more? I felt like last night they felt they had the weight of women's boxing on their shoulder. I feel that they came in with that mindset. They clearly delivered. That's one of the best fights, women's fights I've ever seen. And it's one of the top 5 loudest fights I've ever heard. They were just, that crowd was 50-50 right till the end. The atmosphere was unbelievable. That, to me, was a pay-per-view night in terms of the whole pageantry of the whole thing. It was unbelievable. The intros, all of that. I think they did an unbelievable job. But I thought Serrano won that fight. And what really surprised me is just how amiable she was after the fight. Like, she didn't Jake Paul said something and said at best it was a draw, and I agree with that. Were you guys surprised at just how complicit they were with the scorecards? Like, they didn't put up more of a fuss. Do you think it's because, and my thing is because I think they felt the weight of women's boxing, even though there was shitty judging. What do you guys think about how she approached that?
Well, I think she's a class act. I'll be honest with you. I think she's a class act, and I think Katie Taylor's much the same way. She's not going to sit there and cry about a loss. They'll go behind closed doors, and she'll probably say she was robbed or she thought she won the fight or whatever. You'll never hear about it. The press will never hear about it. She'll do it behind closed doors, and I'm sure she thinks she won the fight. I'm sure she watched it again, but it's a class act. That's what they do. You take the word of the judges. It is what it is, and then we just try to set up a rematch, or we do what we do, or we look on to the next thing. But that's how you're supposed to handle a loss. That's sportsmanship. That's character. That's class. Yeah.
I think because it was such a great night, she didn't want to do anything to put a damper on that or diminish and diminish that. So if you notice right after the fight, the first thing she said was, and who says women can't sell? Who says women can't draw? And she put the sport before herself last night. And that's why I believe she took, because I had the same reaction to you at first, but then the more I thought about it, I said, you know what? She's a true champion. She's a true warrior, a true great human being, because she put the sport of boxing before herself, and she knew that the moment meant more than her feelings at that time, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. I felt I can tell they felt the responsibility of the night. I don't know. I think if you just said a little bit more, like, not to say you got robbed, but hey, I emphatically think I won that fight, it kind of drums up the rematch more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there'll be plenty of time for that because there's going to be a rematch. Listen, you don't make that much money and have this kind of fanfare for this fight to do it once, and especially it was this close. It was disputed. Some people had Taylor, some people had Serrano. It was a very close fight, and so yeah, you're going to have there's definitely going to be a rematch. There's too much money not to, and then all that should come out of in the press conference and the lead up to the fight and everything like that.
Okay, now, Eric, I got to ask you, because I know how you have a stereotype of women's boxing.
Sure.
Were you impressed last night?
No, I wasn't. Because, listen, again, you're going 10 rounds for a championship, which is, to me, is unheard of. But then you're going 2-minute rounds, which is even more unheard of. Again, you're going the equivalent of under 7 rounds to decide a championship. Why can't you have these guys fight at 12 rounds, 3 minutes? Why can't they fight 3 minutes? They get gassed? I mean, I don't. That's not true. They have the same capacity to fight as we do, as men. They're the same.
Did you hear did you watch the post-fight? Did you see what Tony Bellew said?
No, I did not.
Yes, I did.
I had the sound turned off.
No,
so
Tony Bellew,
I was watching a movie.
Yeah, he and Clarissa Shields were doing the post-fight, and he said, I think what they should do, instead of going all in to 3 minutes, he was suggesting just do it in 30-second intervals, make it 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and see how that works, and then maybe bump it up to 3 minutes, because he was thinking the action would get taken away if you make it 3-minute rounds.
Yeah, I love Tony Bellew. He's a friend of the show, but he's wrong. It's got to go to 3 minutes. There's no reason.
You don't like that?
No, there's no reason it can't be 3 minutes. That you can't do the same as everybody else. None. Because what you're basically saying, what you're basically saying is if you guys are inferior to men, you guys can't do the same things we do, so we're going to cut it in half for you little girls, and you guys can fight under these different rules, like 10 rounds and 2 minutes or whatever the case may be. That's what it is, and that's wrong. That's just a wrong way to look at it.
I truly believe that they won't get the true respect they deserve if they don't eventually fight 3-minute rounds. I agree with Eric. That's one thing I do agree with.
UFC, listen, UFC, the women's fights, same as the men's. 5-minute rounds for championships. They're all 5-minute rounds.
Yeah.
Why?
So you guys don't think it'll be taken seriously until you get to 3 minutes?
I don't take it seriously, no.
I take it seriously.
Under 7 rounds determined a championship last night.
I take it very seriously, but the 2-minute rounds just give Eric more ammunition to criticize them about. So if they did have 3-minute rounds, I think Eric would come around a little bit.
Probably not, but I mean, I would find something else to complain about. But I mean, either way, you still got to get there. You still got to get to the 3 minutes before I shut up about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, no, I guess that's the point. And them doing a rematch in Ireland, I mean, the aesthetics of that be unbelievable, but there's no way in hell that Serrano, short of it, well, let me back up. I'll agree with you guys that if it was a 3-minute round, Taylor would have got knocked out. That fight would have either got knocked out or a TKO in the 5th round, hands down. I agree with you on that. If it was a 3-minute round. But if they're talking about doing a rematch in Ireland, I think it would be unbelievable. But there's no way in hell Serrano, short of knocking her out, would even stand a minuscule chance of winning.
Well, why not? I mean, Katie Taylor came here and won. She came to the U.S., not her country.
You know what? She came to the U.S., and I'm with you because I agree. I thought she won that fight, and it was in New York with a truly 50-50 crowd.
Yeah.
You think when she goes over to Ireland and it's 100% that she's going to win that fight if the fight goes the same way? No way in hell.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Listen, I guess it depends on who the judges are. If you're fighting in somebody's backyard, and as long as you've got 3 neutral judges, I don't see a problem.
Yeah, I think.
All right, look what happened last night. You and I are agreement. You and I are in agreement. I agree. I thought Serrano won that fight, and she didn't. Yeah. She didn't get the decision.
No, but it could have gone either way. Now, I think that may be where you and I differ, is that, I could make a case for the fight either way. I know Beeb can probably make a case for the fight either way. It was close. It was a close fight.
Yeah.
So the fact that one girl won and one girl didn't doesn't mean it's a robbery. I think it was way too close.
You know how you know a fight is close? If you're scoring it. And sometimes when you're scoring a fight, you're automatically 10-9, 10-9, 10, whatever, right? After a lot of these rounds, I had to really stop and pause and think before I actually said, who won that round? And I don't know if you had the same feeling when you were scoring this fight yesterday, Eric.
Yeah,
that's how I felt. That's how I felt. So that in itself tells me that this was a close fight, from my vantage point, at least. Anyway.
Well, how do you think I felt, Beeb? I had to watch a movie and glance over at the fight at the same time. It was difficult for me too.
Please, Eric. Please.
And wait, one last thing regarding Shakur Stevenson. Are you guys in agreement? Because I definitely liked what he said after the fight. Well, listen, I'm going to go back with you. I did not like that dancing around in the 12th. I don't know if he's trying to play heel, but that just wasn't a good look.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
But it was a dominating
we've seen
performance.
Fighters do that in the past too. We've seen fighters do it. Pernell Whitaker did that, so yeah, I get it. Nobody likes it, but
maybe he'll grow out of it.
But are you guys in agreement? Did you like what he said afterwards? Do you guys think he should just unify at 130, clean out the division?
I think he should fight the biggest fights. No, I think he should fight the biggest fights. And I think that he's to the point now where, he's got to fight the bigger guys, just fighting for titles and, just belt collecting is not going to do it for him. And, he wants to get paid. The only way you make that money is going to be to fight the big guys, man.
At 135, you're talking?
130, 135, anywhere you can go to get big names, man.
But at 135, everybody's tied up. You got Kambosos and Haney. That's going to more than likely be a 2-fight deal. And after Tank fights his next fight, the assumption would be that his big money fight would be with Ryan Garcia. So to me, why wouldn't it be in his best interest just to unify?
Here's what I think is going to happen. And
at
of course,
130?
I don't have a crystal ball, but what I think is going to happen is Haney is going to win. He's going to beat Kambosos, and win those titles. There's not going to be a rematch there because there's not a lot of money there. He's going to move up to 140, 147 because he's a big guy too. He can move up that far, and he's gonna search for other things. So I don't think once he unifies, what else is there? He's not going to rematch Kambosos. I don't care what the contract says.
Well, he can get out of the rematch if he does.
Yeah, he can get out of the rematch because he does. He could say, "I don't want to fight him. I want to move up."
Oh, he can get out of the rematch if he does move up. That's what the contract.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's what they said. So he can move up and not have to rematch.
Sure.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, my man. We're gonna get running.
Right,
Brockton, son, stand up.
Brockton, stand up, baby. Brockton.
Don't try to say that now. You didn't know where he went. Oh, Boston or Foxborough. He's in your own state, son.
I can't make a recovery. Yeah, I can't make a recovery. I can't make a recovery. I can't make a comeback.
Pathetic attempt. Dale says I was watching What's Love Got to Do with It with Ike Turner. All right, we're going to go back to the phones here. But first, we're going to go to, let's see here, the upcoming fight schedule. And I think there's only one. I'll be honest here. I think there's only one real one here. Let's just double check it. May 7th. Yep. Only one this weekend, May 7th on DAZN. Canelo Alvarez versus Dimitri Bivol, 12 rounds for Bivol's WBA light heavyweight title. Felipe Ergovic's on that card against Zhilei Zhang, 12 rounds heavyweights. Montana Love, Beeb. I'm feeling the love. You know where he's from?
Ohio.
That's right, baby. Montana Love, Ohio's own, against Gabriel Galaz Valenzuela, 12 rounds junior welterweights, and a bunch of guys on the undercard that you've never, ever heard of in your life. All right. Beeb, what are your thoughts here on that Canelo-Bivol fight? I think, I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, it's I like Bivol a lot, and I think he's going to give him a problem. That being said, how many times did I think somebody's going to give Canelo a problem, and they didn't give him any problems at all?
The big thing with Bivol is he fights at a very slow pace. He's not a real fast-paced, aggressive guy. He's more of a guy that likes to probe on the outside, likes distance, likes space, doesn't throw a ton of punches. And that falls right into Canelo's wheelhouse. I mean, because Canelo likes to fight in spurts. He's not a big volume guy. He can be the counterpuncher if he wants to, but he has no problem stepping to guys, as he's shown, particularly against Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant. He was the aggressor, and he allowed Caleb Plant to be the guy trying to lay back and set traps. So because of Canelo's versatility and because I think, he's the better all-around fighter in terms of complete skill set, I have a hard time seeing him losing this fight. And I don't know. I think it could be interesting maybe in the first couple rounds. But once Canelo starts, getting his timing down and establishing his range in there and getting past the jab of Bivol, I just don't see Bivol being able to withstand Canelo's onslaught on the inside. And I think he's going to get broken down and he's going to get stopped late. It's going to be a similar fight to the Kovalev fight, in my opinion.
It's going to be interesting because, up to 175, he's carrying more weight. Will he have the same stamina? He fought Sergey Kovalev and beat him in the 11th round. I thought Sergey Kovalev was winning the fight up until that point. The other thing to remember is that Sergey Kovalev was not the Sergey Kovalev we remember. He's definitely on the dark side of his career at that point. Canelo had a hard time with him, but we know Kovalev is a world-class boxer as well, so he's really good. So is Dimitri Bivol. This could be competitive. I'm going to take Canelo. I'm going to go out on a limb here and take Canelo because, it's until he gets beat, I think you just got to go with him, So
yeah, that's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah. All right. So our news and rumors, Floyd Mayweather versus Don Moore. Beeb, I know you're looking forward to this one. Will be on pay-per-view on May 14th. And it's going to be on like some kind of streaming website or something like that. Anyway, if you want to get in now, the early bird price is $29.99. My guess is it'll go to $39 or $49 by post time. But hey, who cares? I'm not watching it. Are you watching that?
Absolutely not.
You're watching it. You know you are. Stop.
I'm really not.
If you watch Taylor Serrano, you're not going to watch the greatest ever Floyd Mayweather?
No.
How dare you? How dare you?
I'm not going to do it.
What kind of boxing fan are you?
Wow. I'm a boxing fan. I'm not a freak show fan.
Oh, that's cold-blooded. That's far more cold-blooded than anything I've ever said tonight. I'll tell you that.
No way.
By far. Teofimo Lopez, your man, says he wants to face Josh Taylor next. He said that people are in talks to face Josh Taylor next. Does he deserve this shot? I mean, what makes him think he's just going to go up there and fight Josh Taylor for the unification?
First of all, Josh Taylor is going to probably vacate those titles, so he's going to have to fight for one of the vacant ones if he wants to. If he's going to move up, which he says he's going to do. So I don't think he gets that Josh Taylor fight.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think. I really do believe Josh Taylor should fight Jack Catterall again. I think he should try to. I hate saying this because I don't like guys trying to make weight when they struggle, but
right.
I just think that he needs to kind of erase this controversy, and the only way he can do that is fight Jack Catterall. Put this to bed. You know what I mean? Because this is something I think that's going to haunt them for a while.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, let's go back to the phones. 804. I think this is Corey. 804, you're live.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing tonight, man?
Corey.
What up, Kate? What up, Corey?
Hey, what's up, man? How's everybody doing tonight, man? Hope everybody's having a great night, man.
Good.
I just wanted to talk about, some of the fights that came up, man. Shakur Stevenson. I picked Shakur Stevenson to win by 10th round ice season, and he did knock Valdez down. I think he hurt him, possibly stunned him, but I didn't think he was too badly hurt though. That's what I mean. And I just think Valdez came in with the wrong game plan. Like for Eddie Reynoso, they trained for weeks and weeks and months for this fight, man. We knew about this fight months ago, so it's like you had ample opportunity. And your fighter is in his prime, but DC Mike, earlier we won a live stream, and he had a good point that he said Eddie Reynoso can't change something in, 1 or 2 fights, and it's like pretty much he's seen fighters that, when you switch trainers like that late in your career, you're pretty much, stuck with the, the tools that you have, they can, they can reshuffle some of them and maybe add, but, Valdez is who we thought he was. He came in head first most of the time with no fucking game plan. And it looked atrocious at times.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Listen, you could have brought him back. You could have brought him. Manny Stewart, Eddie Futch, anybody from the past. He wasn't winning that fight. He's just not skilled. He's not skilled enough to beat Shakur Stevenson. It just is what it is, man. Sometimes you're skilled enough, sometimes you're not. That guy's gonna have his number no matter how many times they fight.
Corey, when you're a kid growing up and they tell you could be anything you want, right?
And you believe them.
The reality situation is you could be anything. The reality of the situation is what I like to tell kids is you can be anything that your talent allows you to be.
There you go. That's the way to talk.
That's what you say to people. People will be dropping truth bombs on you. That's what he does.
A volcano of knowledge to Beeb.
But proceed.
Wow. So yeah, man. So and with the Valdez fight, that is what it is. I think he should probably, he could probably even stay at that division after Shakur leaves and probably still do okay. But I think Shakur is just a roadblock. He'll never, like Eric said, he'll never be able to beat him, no matter what trainer's in front of him, and no matter how many times they fight. But moving forward, the Serrano versus Katie Taylor fight, I picked Serrano by unanimous decision. And when I looked at the fight, I can see it going. I think Serrano won. Let me put that out there first. I think she won. There was a couple swing rounds in that fight that you could have scored either way. But I think that Serrano, man, she just has some. And I understand boxing is a whole 12-round fight, or in this case, 10 rounds. But I just think that Serrano, man, maybe her corner should have told her to punch on the gas a little bit more in some of those other rounds that she just took off. And that's the reason why we're having this debate today. And I really, truly think that it should be a rematch. I think that, sorry about the noise, you guys. I'm at work.
All right.
But, I really, truly think that, Serrano, won. But, I can see where, people would say that she didn't win, and people could say that, it could have went both ways, But I think that Serrano was a warrior, both great for the women's boxing. Eddie Hearn got a good one on this one, man. Eddie Hearn has done a lot of shit in boxing, good and bad. But when you think about it, you guys, Eddie Hearn is actually changing our sport of boxing, man. I mean, he's already, the zone with the zone app and all of that stuff. You don't have to say that Eddie Hearn's done all of that, but he's done some things in boxing, man, and put together this women's fight, man. And I think it's good for the fans, and I think it's putting women's boxing back on the map. I heard something about 19,000 sold out fans in the Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, it was sold out.
Somebody in the chat said it wasn't on pay-per-view. I've seen pay-per-view fights that had nowhere near the emotion and just the raw talent that both of these girls had, when men fight. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely got to give him respect, man. And I thought Katie Taylor was out on her feet in the beginning of the fight, man. You know, I believe it was the 3rd or 4th round, Eric and Beast. I'm not exactly sure. But it was one of those rounds when she got stunned and she was just, you know, taking all types of punishment from Serrano. And I thought they would have possibly almost maybe stopped the fight, you know, because she was, I felt like at one point she was, you know, she was on Queer Street, you know, at the end of that bell. And it was a good thing. Man, just imagine if these rounds were 3-minute rounds. Man, I just think boxing fans, you know, we did get a great fight, but I don't think that this fight would have went the distance if it was 3-minute rounds and it was a 12-round championship fight, you know. And as far as Canelo goes next week, you guys, I got Canelo winning. I think he could possibly stop Bivol. I've seen Bivol hurt by Joe Smith Jr., which is also fighting Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev destroys Joe Smith Jr., but I think the winner of Joe Smith Jr. and Beterbiev is going to face the winner of Canelo Alvarez versus Bivol. You know, I pretty much think this is a 70-30 fight. I think Canelo can win this fight easily. And, yeah, man, I got all this noise in the background, man, but I really appreciate you guys taking my call, man. Shout out to Eric and B, the best podcast in the nation. Ringside Reporter, y'all. Have a great night, man.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much, Corey. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, brother.
Love it. Thank you. 8:05. You're live. I got to get some shades in here or something like that. Sun's like just directly on.
Yeah, I'll send
But
some.
the sun, let me tell you something. The sun always shines on me. It always shines on Ohio.
I'll send the
8:05.
interior.
You're live.
I'll send the interior decorators down there tomorrow.
Interior decorators.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Nacho.
Just kind of
Nach?
wanted to chime in.
I know you're
Just
not calling
wanted to
about that
chime in
chick
with
fight.
the,
Nacho's a macho guy like myself. He watches real boxing. Go ahead, Nacho.
Eric, I watched it. It was actually somewhat entertaining.
You
I
fell
have to
asleep,
give it
didn't
to
you? You
them.
fell asleep, didn't you?
I'm not.
You did. You fell
come
asleep.
on,
It's
Eric.
all good, man. Don't worry about it.
Please, Eric.
Nah.
Please.
We're gente. We can do it like that, man. We just fell asleep, man. It's
You're
all
ruining
good.
it, Eric. You're ruining it.
I didn't do anything.
No, it was a good fight. It was entertaining to watch. The only thing I gotta say, and I don't think anybody's kind of brought it up, I just honestly think that Serrano shot her wad in that round where she hurt Taylor and tried to get her out of there and couldn't. And then from that point on, Taylor just came back and pretty much took over the fight at that point. And she ended up, you know, squeaking by and winning the fight. But I just feel like she went all out trying to get her out of there, and it backfired on her because from round 6 through 8, she didn't do a whole hell of a lot to try to, you know, really get the stoppage. She just kind of let Taylor gradually back in the fight, and then by the time she actually got her second win, it was too late. Taylor had recovered, and Taylor had actually, you know, got her bearings back, and, you know, she made it a lot closer, and they ended up giving it to her. If they have a rematch, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just curious to see where they do the rematch. I don't know about this Serrano traveling to Ireland for a rematch. I'm not sure they would. Serrano and her team would agree to that. Something tells me
Would you
that
buy the rematch?
that's not going to be something.
Would you pay for the rematch if they put it on, like, say, DAZN pay-per-view or something?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would because the first one was a lot better fight than I anticipated.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
mean,
either.
I would have to say yes.
I wouldn't either, man. Me and you agree, buddy.
90
man,
seconds.
It is what it is, man.
Come on, Eric.
What? I say, man. Do nothing.
This is disgraceful.
All right.
This is
and then just real quick on Stevenson-Valdez. Man, I don't know what the hell Valdez was thinking. I don't know what kind of game plan they came up with that they said that they'd been working on, but that idea of him just standing there and letting Stevenson just kind of tee off on him while he's not really throwing anything back.
Yeah,
that was the worst game plan.
It doesn't matter what game plan he came in with. It really doesn't. I mean, there's no game plan that you can give Oscar Valdez that he'll beat Shakur Stevenson.
Skill gaps.
Shakur's just, there's too
Not
many
beat
skill
Eric,
gaps.
but I think he would have been.
Nah,
I think he would have been a little bit more competitive than he was had he actually,
man.
Set up his shots better.
Shakur's on a different level, man. He's
His
on a
feet,
different level. None of his fights are competitive.
His feet and his hands are just too quick, bro. No one's
You
beating.
can't mess with that speed, man.
No one's beating this kid, bro.
Not anytime soon. I'll tell you that.
Not anytime soon, man. I'm just saying. He's too good, bro. He's just too good.
Way too good.
As far as the other two belts, yeah, he could unify, but in reality, beating the two guys who hold those belts don't really bring him any kind of notoriety. I mean, Roger Gutierrez is a decent fighter, but he's not a star fighter. And then the other belts held by the Japanese dude, Ogawa. I mean, yeah, he could beat both of those guys and unify, but in reality, he doesn't get much out of unifying.
Yeah, he's not going to get it.
Yeah.
He's not going to get much out of it. He's not even going to get a lot of money out of it, to be honest with you. He'd get way more money fighting a named guy than either one of those guys, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, I just think the kid is huge for 30. I think 35 is probably a better idea because he looked way bigger last night than Valdez. It wasn't even close. He looked like a junior middleweight by the time he was in the ring last night. It was crazy, like how the size disparity between the two. You could just see it right away. So I think 35 is probably a better bet for him as far as, what his next move would be. But, I think there might be a couple more competitive fights in that division than there is at 130. That's for sure. But, until we see somebody really take it to Stevenson and have to really force him to get uncomfortable and actually have to fight back without being at his best, we're never really going to know how good the kid is. The kid is talented. I'm not completely sold on him yet. I think he still needs to really do a couple more things for me to be like, okay, he's as good as they're advertising him to be. I think right now he's just kind of scratching the surface of what his talent is and just getting away with it. But, we'll see how his career goes moving forward. So. And then Canelo-Bivol, I agree with you guys. I think Canelo's going to win that fight. As skilled as Bivol is, he just doesn't have that killer instinct to me. I think he's a guy who likes to just be upright and throw 1-2s down the middle and move around a lot. And like you guys said, I think Canelo just kind of let him think he's going to, set him up, and he's eventually going to take him out late in the fight like the way he did against Plant. So I think he probably ends up stopping him in like the 10th or 11th round. So, all right, guys, that's my call.
All right, Nacho. Thanks for calling, man. Good call by Nacho. See, Beeb, I told you he agreed with me. He said that he wouldn't buy the pay-per-view either. And you know what? I don't blame him.
Yeah, he's a consumer. He has the right to do what he wants.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1. Find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. And you can find me on Twitter at ringside73. And guys, we will see you next week. Now, before we leave here, make sure to tune in this week. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe to it because Beeb has been putting out videos left and right. They've all been good. Sometimes he gets interviews. Sometimes he's breaking down fights for you guys. So come on and support the channel and support the Beeb, man, during the week. And we may have a weigh-in show later on this week. We may have it. I don't know. We'll see. Like to do a weigh-in show and maybe break the fight down after the weigh-in and that kind of thing. So stay tuned and catch you guys soon, man.